Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the American Dream in the Eyes of Immigrants podcast. And before we get into today's episode, I actually have another announcement to make. I feel like lately all I've been doing is making new announcements, but the podcast officially has its fifth sponsor. Oh my gosh. Yes, another sponsor for the podcast. And this time it is Devin from Kaza Law. So that is Kaza Law. And actually, Devin was a guest on the show. His episode is number 103, and he is our fifth episode. So Kaza Law practices out of New York. You can definitely go ahead and check out Devin's episode. Again, that is 103, and you can check out their information. Their link is in the show notes and show description. And again, Devin is an immigration attorney. So thank you so much, Devin, for investing in the podcast and investing in the mission of changing the narrative of immigration one story at a time. And again, everyone remember, go ahead and continue to support the podcast by listening wherever you listen to podcasts or watching on YouTube. And you can also support the podcast with money by either making a one-time donation, by signing up for the Substack, which is $10 a month or $100 for the year, and you can listen to the episodes ad-free, or you can become a sponsor and have your business advertised on this show. All right. Thank you so much once again for your continued support, and I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Welcome to the American Dream in the Eyes of Immigrants podcast. I am your host, Heidy De La Cruz, and I am on the mission to change the narrative of immigration, one immigrant story at a time. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the American Dream in the Eyes of Immigrants podcast. I am your host, Heidy De La Cruz, and today I have a very special guest. I have Flavia with us, and she's going to be talking about her upbringing with having immigrant parents and then also moving out of the United States. Can't wait to get into that. So welcome, Flavia. If you can introduce yourself to the audience, who you are, what you do, and just want to say thank you so much for being here, being willing to share your story.
Thank you so much, Heidi, for having me on your show. I'm really excited to be able to talk about my story with your audience and with you. So my name is Flavia Cornejo. I am a first-gen Peruvian American born and raised in New Jersey. But I have actually been living out of the US for the last 5 years, which we'll talk about. But I have been traveling most of my life, and that's really what my focus has been and what my platform is about. It's called Latina Traveler, where I talk about mainly my solo travels and now my life abroad. I focus on the first gen Latina experience when I travel and really how I don't see too many of us Latinas traveling, which is why I even started the platform to begin with, which has been great because it has allowed me to connect with so many other Latina travelers that I've even launch my own group trips that we can travel together in comunidad. So I'm really excited to talk about all of that with you today.
Yes. Okay, that's a lot, but I definitely want to get to everything. So, you grew up, born and raised in New Jersey. So, tell us about that. Was there a big Peruvian community in New Jersey, or were you like the only minority? How was that growing up for you?
Yeah, so New Jersey actually does have one of the largest Peruvian communities in the whole country, but I actually never lived in that area. So that city
Oh,
is called Patterson. Yeah, so I never lived there. We only went there
okay.
sometimes to eat, but we
Okay.
never lived there. I was born and raised actually in Newark, so close by, but and also really close to New York City. But when I was 10, my parents actually moved us down to the Jersey Shore. And
Oh,
I know a lot of people associate the show with
the show,
the
yes.
reality, but it's nothing like the show, really, where my parents were. It was very like, my mom actually moved for a job. So where we
Okay.
ended up living was very like upscale and very different than what I had been used to before that. Like my schools before that were very diverse. And I love that because there's people and kids from everywhere. And most of the kids were like kids from immigrant parents as well. But where we moved to, my sister and I were actually the only ones who were Latinas, the only minorities at all in the whole school. It was a very small school. My grade, I think, had about 8 or 9 people. So it was definitely a change. It was only about an hour away from where I had lived the first 10 years of my life to where I would then be at least living the next 8 through high school. So that change, I think really affected me in a way for a long time because I didn't really know what to do with that. Like it felt
Mm.
so different than what I was used to. I didn't feel like I fit in at all. There was nobody around me who spoke Spanish or anything. So that change was pretty rough. And I think it took me a long time to kind of be able to talk about it because I didn't even know how to really deal with the emotions, and I think that's what led to a lot of teenage angst and anger that I have for a
Oh,
while
yeah.
because yeah, I felt very alone and literally, like,
Yeah.
literally in that way, so
Any
yeah.
siblings? Do you have any siblings?
I have a sister. She's a year younger than me, but unfortunately, we've never had the best relationship. Our
Okay.
relationship has actually gotten a lot better since I've moved away.
Mm.
So now, actually, she'll come visit me, and I've gone to see her as well. But yeah, for some reason, like growing up and stuff, it wasn't as great as I guess like it would have helped a lot, like
Yeah.
having a much closer relationship, but that's just life.
Are your parents still in New Jersey?
My parents are still in New Jersey, still in the same house where, we ended
Oh.
up moving to and everything, so, I mean, now I go visit, it's great because
Yeah.
like, the beach is nearby and stuff, and now I know when I go, it's only for, like, a couple weeks at most,
Yeah.
and so it's not as traumatic because I know
Yeah.
it's like there's a start and end date.
Yes, and before you moved abroad, did you live in any other state in the US, or was it just New Jersey?
So, in New York, I lived in New York, I went to university in Manhattan, so I lived there for
Oh.
4 years, yeah, which is actually what I wanted to do, like, after we moved down there, I realized I wanted to go to the city, I was like, "I need more
Oh.
people, I need more noise, I need more diverse faces, I need more languages, more food."
Okay, and so did you fit right in when it came to Manhattan? Oh my gosh. Or was there, like, an adjustment period?
I think by then, because I had been living where I was for 8 years, it did end up being a bit of an adjustment period, but it was one that I was really looking forward to and that
Yeah.
I really enjoyed. So it wasn't one that I didn't wanna go through. It was some place like that I wanted to be in, so it was
Yeah.
definitely a lot easier.
Okay, cool. So talk to us about visiting Peru for the first time.
So the first time I went to Peru, I was actually only 1 month old, so that
Oh, wow.
visit, I actually don't remember at all. I've seen pictures of, like, my grandparents holding me and,
1
all of
month
that.
old, oh my newborn, literally.
Yeah,
Oh my
literally.
goodness.
So I don't remember too much, but, the first memory that does really stick out was one of the times I went by myself because my parents actually chose to have us do our braces in Peru because it was so much cheaper for us to fly there and do it there instead of doing it in the US.
I've heard of that. I've heard of that, of, like,
Yeah.
people doing the braces in countries outside of the US because it's so much cheaper. Oh my goodness, yes.
Exactly, yeah, which is crazy because it's like an 8-hour flight from New Jersey, so it's not like
Yeah.
it's a close flight. So the fact that that was cheaper to me was has always been mind-blowing. But yeah, so one of the times I had to go to have them adjust, like,
Mhm.
the things, so I had to go and I nobody could go with me, so it was the time that I was gonna be going by myself. And I mean, I had been so many times before then, but going by myself for some reason felt like a lot I don't know, different, a lot difficult, even though it was going to be obviously the same process of like
Yes.
immigration and customs and all of that. But for some reason, I was, I think, 11 or 12. And so I just felt
Oh,
a little
you were
scared.
young.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, 11. I'm trying to think because I used to fly by myself, but I would fly from Michigan to Florida, so I didn't leave the country.
Oh,
However, my daughter, to go visit her dad in the summers, I think she started when she was 6, so that was nerve-wracking for me, but it was a straight
mhm.
flight, 2 hours, I think it was, and so
Yeah.
you had the unaccompanied minor, so you had, like, the flight attendant with you? I mean, they don't, like,
Yeah.
sit with you, but they, like,
Right.
help you. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean, I had done, flights with my sister by ourselves, so, like,
Oh,
without
okay.
our parents before that, but it was just nice kind of knowing I wasn't by myself fully,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
So,
for
like,
sure.
even though I was the one doing, like, most of the stuff, I had to hold on to the things, like, we did have the unaccompanied minor, but I don't know, I was still the oldest, I was still the responsible one or had to be
Mhm.
the responsible one in that situation, so, yeah, I remember those times as well.
So it sounds like you grew up, like, visiting Peru a lot, so, like, you were,
Mhm.
in the culture and merged and everything and the food and stuff.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
That's
Yeah, my
good.
parents would send us every summer. So,
Nice.
Peru is, like, below the equator, so while it's summer in the US, it's winter there. So, we kind of never had summers growing up because they were always
No!
winter,
Oh, no.
which really sucks because if you've ever been to Lima in the wintertime, it is gray, like, gray skies, the sun doesn't come
So, like
out.
so, like, up north?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
no. So you had
so
so hold
bad.
on. So you had just gray, like, because you were
Yeah.
in the winter up north, and then you would go for the winter. Oh,
Yeah,
man.
I know, I know. It was sad. I mean, we would have, like, a few weeks of summer, like, in the US before we left or, like, when
Leave
we'd come
yeah,
back, but it wasn't, like the
the
majority
whole
of it was
summer.
winter. Yeah.
Yeah, oh my goodness. So, visiting Peru, you would visit, family, I'm assuming, like,
Mhm.
grandparents, aunts,
Yeah.
cousins. How was that?
Yeah, it was great. I mean, I'm glad that we were able to do that because now we all live in different countries. Like I still have a lot of family that lives in Peru, but I have a lot of family that also lives all around the US and around Europe. And so now it's great because if I go somewhere, I always either have somebody to see or somebody to stay with. And it's nice that we like kind of started forming those bonds like really young. So
Yeah. Okay, so tell us now that you mentioned, like, you have family everywhere and you're outside of
mhm.
the US, so what led you to leave 5 years ago?
Yeah, so I actually left so I left New Jersey to go to Barcelona, Spain to do a master's program. And the original plan was just to go for a year. I was going to do a master's in tourism, which I did.
No?
And it was a great experience. And I didn't think that I was going to stay. Like that was never the thought. Like I thought I was going to finish, maybe go back to Jersey for a little bit, and then probably go to Latin America. But I
Mhm.
ended up making really good friends while I was there. I really liked the lifestyle. It just felt a lot more relaxed, a lot calmer. I wasn't as stressed. Even though I wasn't working, I wasn't stressed. It was weird because I was just kind of blowing through my savings. And so, but yeah, it just felt like aligned with the kind of life that I wanted to live. And so I decided to stay. And because the immigration process is still a bit complicated, it's not as easy or straightforward. Definitely not as difficult as the US, but
Mm.
still not super straightforward. I ended up doing a second master's and that after that, I so apparently Spain has official and unofficial masters, and I did not know about this because who
Oh,
would think that there would be unofficial masters,
yes.
right?
Yes.
So apparently the second one I did wasn't an official one. And so then my transition from a student visa to like a residency visa wasn't so straightforward. And so after 3 years, about 3 years, I ended up having to leave Spain because I it just became such a headache, and it was like a yearly process that had to be done all the time. And 6 months you were okay, and then 6 months you were in the renewal process, and so it was just I was starting to get the
Wow.
stress that I didn't want, and so
Yes.
I wanted to find another solution. And so now I'm actually in Portugal, and the visa that I've had or that I have right now is good for 2 years, and then I'll renew it and it'll be good for 3 years. So, yeah, and here I also have a similar lifestyle, a similar life, like what I've been looking for. It's a lot more relaxed, a lot less stressful than how I felt, and I don't see myself going back.
You mentioned that you went to go study and the plan was to come back, but eventually you stayed,
Mhm.
which is a very common answer the other way. Like when I ask people like, "Oh, what brought you to the US?" A lot of
Mhm.
them say that. They're like, "Well, I came to study for English or I came for the university." And then they just
Yeah.
ended up staying either finding a job or just
Mhm.
liking the lifestyle here. And so
Yeah.
it's just like their initial plan was just to come for a year, 2 years, or however long it is to take to finish school and then to go back and then they end up staying. So like you had the same experience, just the opposite
Yeah.
way, like ended
Yeah.
up leaving.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And so with traveling, you as you
Mhm.
mentioned earlier, then that brings us to your brand, Latina Traveler. And so you were saying that you had not seen Latinas traveling like as much. And then also you mentioned that you travel like you do solo trips. Okay,
Mhm.
tell me about that because I have not done a solo trip outside of the US. I've done
Mhm.
in the US, but, like, outside of the US, I haven't, so talk to me.
Okay, yeah. That's crazy because I've actually never done a solo trip within the US, only outside of
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So it's funny how it's, like, backwards.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, so as I mentioned, when I was 12, I went to Peru that first time, but then, before my senior year of high school, my parents actually have some friends that live in Buenos Aires in Argentina, and so I mean, I spoke Spanish and everything, but they wanted me to improve my writing skills, and so
Oh.
they actually enrolled me in a Spanish class at the University of Buenos Aires for the summer. So I spent the summer there, and that was, I feel like, the first time I really spent a longer, like, significant time, like, in a Spanish-speaking country, but also somewhere where I didn't really know anyone. Like, the family friends that
Mhm.
my parents have, I've met them maybe once or twice before, so I didn't really know them. They were still strangers to me. And so it was kind of cool to be in a whole new city where I didn't know anybody, where now I was taking this university class with other university students from other countries, and I was just living a different lifestyle that I just wasn't my parents would have never given me that freedom in the US, like, but now they were just sending me to
Oh.
another country to, like, be
Yes.
here, and that's actually the summer that I got my tongue pierced, and I still have it here still now because I had all this freedom.
Oh my
So
gosh. Were they upset?
no, they actually knew, so they were
Oh,
okay
okay,
with
okay.
it. Yeah. Yeah, so I'm, like, surprised that they would I think, like, had they been there, they would've been like, "Definitely not," but for some reason I think they thought, like, "Well, she's probably gonna do it anyway if she wants to, might as well just
Yeah,
know about it."
exactly.
Yeah. But yeah, so that experience along with also my instead of having a quinceañera, my parents gave me the option of either having a quinceañera or going to Europe for 3 weeks. And so I actually
Oh.
chose to go to Europe for 3 weeks, and that was my first time going somewhere that wasn't anywhere on, like, the American continent. I didn't go by myself, but I actually went with other teenagers that I didn't know. So it was a group
Oh.
trip, but they were all from Chicago, I think, and I didn't know anybody because I was coming from New Jersey. And so that was the first time I actually got to spend time away from them, away from anybody that I knew. And I thought I would have probably been more scared. As a teenager, I was definitely a lot like pretty shy, but for some reason it was fine. Like I was used to airports, I was used to how everything worked. I knew I wasn't going to be by myself.
Yeah.
So even though I was kind of by myself because I didn't know anybody, it didn't feel so scary.
Hi, Heidi here. Thank you so much for listening and supporting my podcast, but most importantly, the mission. If you would like to further support this podcast, there are a few ways you can do that. You can sign up for the newsletter. You'll receive the episodes straight to your inbox every time they drop. The link is in the show notes and the show description. You can subscribe to the podcast YouTube channel. And lastly, you can donate money. That link is also in the show notes and show description. If you would like to sponsor an episode or promote your business on this show, send me an email at Heidi at HeidiDeLaCruz.com. Thank you and enjoy the rest of the episode.
So I think that thought of like, okay, as long as you can kind of get through and get into the country, you'll be okay. Like you'll be able to
Yeah.
figure it out somehow.
So you're used to this traveling, by
Yeah.
yourself, not by yourself, so you were just accustomed to it, especially going to Peru, as young as you
Mhm.
were all the time. So and now I'm putting it together, it just makes sense for then now you to just like be able to travel by yourself and things
Yeah.
like that. I love that for you. What an incredible life you have lived, my friend. So then tell us about the group trips that you do.
Yeah, so because on these trips, I normally didn't really see many Latinas, many women of color really traveling.
Mhm.
We tended to be the minorities for sure. Once I started creating my platform, I wanted to find a way for me to not just talk about the travels that I was doing, but to actually live these travels
Mhm.
with my community. And so I started to host some group trips, and thankfully, some women have been inspired enough to come along with me. So I've done already 2? Yeah, and, in 2 weeks, I'm actually heading to another trip to Brazil. We're gonna be in Carnival.
Oh,
So,
wow.
yeah, I'm
Okay.
so excited for that because I feel like that's just such a bucket list
It
item, and to
is.
get to do it in community.
Yeah, it's definitely on my bucket list, and I
Mhm.
recently found out that not just Brazil celebrates Carnaval, like, a whole bunch of other countries do too. That's
Yeah.
it's really cool. Mhm.
Yes. Actually, there's lots, yeah, and not just in the same way, like, because I know a lot
Yeah.
of the Caribbean islands celebrate it also with, like, the big feathered, like, ones and, like, similar kind of style, but a couple of years ago, I was in a small town in Hungary, and where they also celebrate, Carnival, but instead they wear these, like, huge, like, sheep furs, and they wear these masks, and they do, like, all of this noise, like, with these, matracas and everything, and so it was a totally different experience and not something that I thought of when I thought of carnaval, but that's what they
Mm,
do there. And it's been
interesting.
kinda cool, like, traveling to different places during certain holidays or celebrations like that and being able to
Yeah.
experience it with them.
That is really cool. And that's so cool that you do these group trips and especially for those who, are not used maybe not used to traveling and, could
Yeah.
be scared to like travel by themselves. That's really cool. I'm definitely interested. So we definitely got to talk to
Yes,
see.
definitely.
Yeah, cuz I say I love traveling. I mean, I have so many countries that I want to visit, right?
Yeah, of
And
course.
I just haven't, I just went to Mexico and Mexico's a neighboring country, you know what I'm saying? So it's
Yeah.
like, but I definitely do wanna travel. So how can people connect with you with, your travel content and things like that?
Yeah, so I'm on all different social media platforms, and also my website is Latina Traveler or latinatraveler.com. I have a weekly newsletter that I send out every Monday with like remote or travel jobs, as well as like travel opportunities. So that way people can find different ways to travel as well. And there I also share any upcoming group trips that I may have.
I don't know why I'm not signed up to your email list, but I will definitely sign up because I am definitely interested in your content. And although you're no longer in the US, I still
Mhm.
want to ask you this question because,
Yep.
you're American Peruvian, so it still applies to you. And what does the American dream mean to you?
I feel like I've thought about this a lot. I've thought about this a
Yeah.
lot, and I feel like it has changed. Like, when I was younger, I felt like that meant having the big house with the picket fence and, like, the car and the stability and everything like that, and now I it's shifted. I don't feel, at least for me, I don't feel like it's that anymore. I do feel like it is still having a stability, and I do notice that I have a lot of privilege of being able to live where I
Mhm.
am now in Lisbon and work for US companies or, have a US job and just, not necessarily have to be there. So I am able to kind of make that income, but not necessarily, live there. And I know that for other people, it may not be as easy to do that if they haven't had the same, opportunity of like either having a US visa or living there or anything like that. So I feel like it does create a stability for me without necessarily having to be there. So for me, my American dream was kind of to leave America physically, but also still be able to take certain things that for me I needed and wanted with me, but not, like if that makes sense.
Yeah. No, I gotcha. I gotcha.
Yeah.
I gotcha. Thank you so much. And lately, as I've been asking that question, I've been getting my guests have been saying like their American dream has changed, which
Mhm.
is been coming more and more common to hear that. Like it's like they had one vision of the American dream when they were younger, or at least like 5 years ago, and then it's
Yeah.
like now it's a different vision. And that's why I love asking that question because one, I feel like it's very personal like,
Yeah.
what is your American dream? And then again, I feel like it's adaptable, right? So it's like, oh, maybe this is what I thought it was, but really this is what it is now. Like, because as we get older, we change, and then our values change. Like, what we really figure out what it is that we want out of life. So, Flavia, thank you so much for this. Thank you so much for sharing your journey and your story. And I will include all your links in the show notes and show descriptions So whoever is interested in learning more about your traveling content or your traveling trips, that they can sign up and support you that way. Thank you just so much for all of this and being a guest today. And do you have any last words for the audience?
Yeah, I think, at least, like, when I started to solo travel, a lot of people would tell me, as a woman, "Why do that?" Right? And
Mhm.
I think that it's important that as women, even though things may be different for us compared to men, we shouldn't let certain things deter us. Like, I could have stayed home and not done any of the things that I did, but I wouldn't be any happier than I am right now. So there have been times where things were maybe a little scary, a little daunting, but I'm glad that I still went for what I wanted and am now able to live the life that I've always dreamed of. So definitely don't let other people sway you from doing what you want to do with your life.
Love
So,
that. Yes,
yeah.
love that. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Mommy Podcast.